Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tapping in Part 6 today. I hope you all had a good weekend, and to all the mothers watching, I hope you had a good Mother's Day. I had a nice day with my kids, and we went down the beach, and their dad got them to do a few little nice things for me, which was really nice. I hope you all had a good Mother's Day and were spoilt. So today we're going to be going over accessible tourism and events and how to make things more accessible in your business so that people with disability and impairment can use your business more easily. So we'll firstly start off today with doing an acknowledgement of country. So 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people, their cultures and beliefs to both elders past and present. 30-foot drop funding. 30-foot drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities Disability Services for funding this and many other initiatives. Without their support, such projects such as Two Wise Monkeys wouldn't see the light of day, and we'd be much more poorer for it as a community. This project, or this workshop, is part of a realities and advantages of an access and inclusion grant awarded to 30-foot drop as part of an information, linkages and capacity building grant for 2018 and 2019. Okay, we'll go over some housekeeping on how the webinars work if you haven't joined us before. Unfortunately, we do not have all the resources to monitor every single platform live. So if you do have a message for us or you do want to message me along the way, if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, you'll have to jump onto the website, which is the link below this video, www.30footdrop.com.au. Jump into the live box and then you can chat with us. So that's the only way we can chat live, but please feel free to send any messages along the way. Or if you have anything you did want to chat about through another platform, you can, but it won't be looked at until afterwards. As well, please make sure that if you talk about 30-foot drop or the Two Wise Monkeys workshops, share and tag us in every post that you do about us, because the more people we can reach, the better. We also record the sessions, so if you did need to go back on anything, you can rewind, rewatch, and then it is posted to the YouTube, Facebook and our website. So if you wanted to go back on it, it's all there. And all of the research that we talk about on Two Wise Monkeys, we have available as well on the website. So if you wanted to look at more details or go into more information on what we speak about, it's all available on the website. So if you wanted to look into it, it's all there. And as well, if you know anyone that might benefit from this webinar, please let them know. There is 6 parts to it, and it's done 3 days a week at 11 o'clock in the morning Western time and 6 o'clock at night. So each one is different. Each one talks about different things to do with disability and impairment and how to better your business, and also how to employ someone with a disability or impairment, because it's not as hard as everyone thinks, and there's so much help out there. And that's our message, to help people realize that it doesn't have to be hard, and we all need to make these changes. So we will, at the end of the webinar, we do have a short survey which we would really appreciate if you guys could fill out. It's only a few questions just to let us know how we're going, any changes, how you felt. It's just going to benefit us for the future if you could do that. And what was the last thing? So that's it for the housekeeping. Let's get into the monkeys. I'm Lisa, and I am one of the two wise monkeys. I am Hear No Evil. So through me, I'm hoping that after every workshop that you do with us, that you will hear no evil about impairment, and you will not have a negative view on it. Through me, you will realise that you won't hear it anymore. At the age of 8, I was diagnosed with mild dyslexia. Teachers used to hit me on the head, read out my low marks, and yell at me in front of the class. Why don't you understand what's wrong with you? Making me feel completely dumb and unworthy. But despite those challenges growing up, I was determined to prove those people wrong. I ended up travelling around the world with an arts diploma, working in galleries, framing museum grade artwork. I gained a museum grade qualification to look after artwork. I paint, I do photography, I have had exhibitions, I organise exhibitions, all the marketing to do with it, all of that sort of stuff, as well as doing this. But my story is, because it's more hidden, it's important that people know that, you know, there are still people with impairments that struggle, and it's just because it's not obvious on the outside doesn't mean that there aren't people struggling. You know, but I feel like I did prove those people wrong within myself, and I found my path. And it's a matter of finding your path. If you know anyone that does have an impairment or a learning disorder, just let them know that it's not, you don't have to be the most amazing mathematician or speller. Okay, everyone wants to be those things. Everyone wants to be good at everything. But unfortunately, we're all not. We all have our own passions and our own things that we're going to be good at. And it's a matter of just finding out what they are. And I was so grateful at the age of 13 to find out that I was okay at something, and that's where I took my life. I went down the creative path. I did really well with it. I got like 97% in art or something like that, and it just shows you've all got something, and it's just a matter of finding it and going with it. So I hope that if you're listening and you do know someone, or you have it yourself, that you've found that path. Or if you haven't found it, you will find it. There is something that everyone is good at, and we all have our own path to follow. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. The other monkey is Ben, and he is See No Evil. He is the brains behind 30-Foot Drop and Two Wise Monkeys projects. He has a more obvious disability. I will let him tell you his story when he jumps back on, but he is the reason why we are here today, because he felt like not enough is known about disability and impairment, and thanks to him we are here to share and explain and educate people to become more knowledgeable and to become more inclusive and accessible. So welcome, let's get started. Now, normally isn't there 3 wise monkeys? You guys need to have a guess on who the 3rd wise monkey might be. You guys. And hopefully after today, you will speak no evil about impairment. The aim of today's workshop is to turn you guys into that wise monkey. You'll begin on a journey of realizing that, impairment or not, we are all human and all the same and deserve to be treated equally. And as well, if you did really want to become that 3rd wise monkey, now available on our website, we have these gorgeous t-shirts. So you can now become that Speak No Evil monkey, and they are so popular. They come in black and white. You can see behind me I've got a white and black one hanging up. They come in black and white, and they start at size 5 for children and up to 5XL for adults. So please get looking at the shop and get shopping, because they are awesome. Got one on today. You probably can't see it, but there's mine. Okay, so they're available on our website, by the way. Outline a method. So how are we going to get you started on the path of the wise monkey? Well, there's a lot to learn about people with impairment and disability and the potential impacts they can have on your business. Today's session is all about how businesses can meet those specific needs, as well as the market and how to, today's webinar is how you can meet the specific needs of that market and create change and inclusive ideas within your business or service. Next, we will focus on the tourism and events by having a look at the future and how to make things different and change so that straight from the get-go it's inclusive and it's accessible, rather than having to do it all later. The southwest of Australia has the potential to grow this market, and we'll have a look at how we can do this and how it can be accomplished. To finish off, we will do an open forum session where you can ask any questions about anything along the way. But you can also, it doesn't need to be at the end, you can send me any messages along the way. It's totally fine. So, how are we going to cover all this? What will our teaching method be? The answer is fun and open, honest discussion. If we can't be open and honest about disability and impairment, then it's all going to stay in that little bubble that it's in. It needs to be opened up. We need to pop that bubble. We need to get the messages out there so that people do understand. And if you don't speak up about it, then changes can't be made. So please, honest and open. We've all got to be honest and open to make these changes made for a better future for everyone with disability and impairment. So, how are we going to cover this? What will our teaching method be? The answer is fun. And remember, no questions are off limits. You'll notice that there is very little written content on the slides, and that is so that you can all interact with us easily without having to try and follow along with too much information in front of you. And it also makes it easy for people with impairments, people with learning disabilities, people with hearing or vision impairments. It needs to be clear and easy to understand. And if you do have a hearing impairment, then if you're watching on Facebook, it's really cool. It's now you can just turn your volume down and you can read the subtitles, which is such a good thing that Facebook have done, and they just automatically have done it on all the live streaming, which is so cool. And we really encourage you once again to head over to our website, check it out, look at the resources, look at the research, send us messages, and just have a look what else we're doing. We're doing lots of things. Okay, next up we will talk about terminology and review. And this is talking about the difference between disability and impairment and the difference between access and inclusion. So to reduce confusion and ensure understanding, I want to review some of the terminologies that we will be using throughout the webinars. First up is the difference between disability and impairment. An impairment is an injury, illness or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss or difference of physiological or psychological function. In short, an impairment is your medical diagnosis. So my impairment is mild dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access or participate in something. For example, if you are going to a cafe and there's stairs or there's a steep ramp or something like that, then someone with limited mobility is unable to access that service. So it just shows. If you've got your business that is inaccessible to someone with limited mobility, you've lost their business. And it's also not inclusive, but we'll get into that. Okay, so an example for me with being unable to participate would be too much wording, too much complex information. Stylized script can sometimes be a barrier for people with learning disabilities, which makes it hard for them to get the right information that they might need to use your business or service. So this information is really important because some people's disabilities or impairments are hidden. So you need to make that information clear and simple. If it's too complicated, then someone like me might look at it and just go, not even going to go there. Too hard basket. And lots of people forget these things because, if you're not affected by an impairment or a learning disability or a disability, then you're not really going to have any idea what it's like for people like us. And that's what we're trying to explain today. So, hopefully the differences between disability and impairment make sense to you. If they don't, please send us a message. Okay, now we're going to look at the difference between access and inclusion. Access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, physical and attitudinal, to participate in activities and functions of a community. At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and can be checked off with a checklist. So it's a similar thing to what I spoke about before about the cafe. That person is with the disability or impairment or mobility issue cannot access your cafe or restaurant if there's stairs or a steep hill. So you need to make sure that your business is accessible. And on our website, we have an accessibility checklist where you can go around your business and make sure that the doorways are wide enough for someone with a mobility scooter, the door handles are at a level that everyone can reach, the signage, all sorts of things that you can check out. Just a simple little checklist to see, oh, hang on, that little step up into our shop, someone with a wheelchair couldn't get up there. So just little things you can look at and change. You can buy little rubber mats that can even that out. All sorts of things that you can look at to bring those customers into your business, and they are wanting to come into your business. So inclusion, let's talk about inclusion. Inclusion is more of a psychological state of being and is a process whereby every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, sexual preference or religion, who wishes to can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service in the same way as every other member in the community, helping them to feel more included in activities in the community. So inclusive is more of the mental side of it. If your business is not helping someone with a disability or impairment feel included or welcome, then they're not going to come in. So you need to make sure that your business or service is welcoming, includes every single human being, no matter their disability, no matter their impairment. Everyone deserves to be treated equally and feel included. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Now head over to my chat box if it doesn't, or if you have any questions. Now, let's get into today's webinar. First off, we will be looking at specific market needs. In session 5, we discussed the similarities between travellers with an impairment and those of the rest of the population, showing that there is much of an overlap. Despite the similarities to the general population, there are some important differences and specific needs that we need to talk about. Travellers with impairment have a strong tendency to manage the stresses of uncertainties of travel by returning to the same destinations that they know well. Consequently, they appear to have a higher rate of repeated visitation to businesses that support their needs, meaning that they are very loyal customers. The Accessible Tourism in Victoria and Queensland report found that there are three main subjects which are areas specific to their needs, which are information, planning, and service. So we're going to go over these now. Information. What do you need to do to make it better? Travellers with impairment need more support in planning their experience if they are going to travel as much as they wish to. As for it to also be an enjoyable experience rather than a stressful one, because let's face it, who wants to travel if it is stressful? I'd rather stay home. Overall, more detail in the information that is currently being provided is the highest priority for this market, particularly those with limited mobility. While this market mostly related to digital sources such as websites and site reviews, it could also refer to information anywhere that the travellers look, including destinations and overseas tours. Also, more than just having long documents with complex information, we need information that is relevant. Most places already have different measures in place. Let them know by putting it on your website and on your profiles, such as Expedia and TripAdvisor. Let it be known that you're accessible. Let it be known that you're inclusive. Let it be known that you have the things to accommodate someone with limited mobility. Yes, we have accessible toilets. Yes, we have accessible showers, beds, everything. Make the information easy to find and absorb. This specifically relates to accessible tourism information. So with that information, make it easy to find. If it's somewhere hidden in amongst your website, you've got to know where to look. Have it right there in your main menu. Accessibility, everything that they need to know. As well, we discussed in a previous session that this is a decisive segment and people with impairment are more likely to stop a transaction or dissuade others from using your business or service if their needs are not met. So something to think about. If your business or service does not have anything accessible or inclusive within it, then people with impairment and disability are not going to use it. They're probably going to tell everyone that they know not to use it because you weren't accessible or you weren't inclusive. Definitely a scary thought because we do not want negative reputations out there. Okay, information needs to be well structured rather than a 50-page document with information on it, which can be very overwhelming for all sorts of disabilities and impairments. Look at breaking it down into smaller and logical parts. For example, one part on how to let the business or service know what you need. And then another part where people can access your ramps, toilets and Acrod bays. You could have a map on your website showing, this part is accessible. You can go this way to be able to get to this part or the pool or, all sorts of things you can show. Information needs to be relatable. When choosing accommodation, attractions and experiences, including a range of images that cover impairments would help a potential traveller feel that they are choosing an option or place they feel comfortable going to. And we go more into this on webinar part 4. But this really talks about how on your website, have pictures of people maybe with an impairment or a disability so that the other people know, oh look, we are included there. Look, there's someone there at that business with a disability or impairment. I feel like I'm included to go there. But do not use actors for those photos. And we go into that in webinar part 4 if you wanted to have a look at that. As discussed earlier, when you can relate to the marketing, you subconsciously feel welcomed. Information continued. Let's look at some of the specific findings from this report that related to information. When asked what the number one priority to drive accessible tourism is, the most mentioned was information provision. If you make it easy to find and are highly accessible, then you will increase the chances of attracting more customers to your business. 41% of people wanted information contained on review sites like TripAdvisor or Expedia that was relevant to travellers with specific needs. There are many resources as to what these are, and you can look at these through our website. A subject brought up many times was the idea of introducing an accredited system. This shows businesses that have made the commitment and implementation of accessible travel systems. This would be an amazing step forward, and it hasn't been done yet. It's been done in New Zealand as far as I know, but so what it is it's a website where people with disability and impairment can go, and businesses have had a checklist done, everything's been looked at, and they are graded, I guess, whereas 1 being 1 star meaning you're not very accessible, to 5 stars meaning this business is very accessible. Someone with a disability and impairment can go onto that website and go, oh, this place here has 5 stars. It has everything I need. I'm going to go there. So straight away they know it's been graded, it's been put into the right category, and they're feeling comfortable with a 5 star, as you would. So when asked what the priority for improvements to this market was, it was that 86% rated that the addition of more practical information was very important. And it included the information and locations of Acknowledgement bays, toilets, access ramps, everything inclusive and accessible needs to be included on the information. 83% rated an increase of prominent information on tourism and transport websites. So 83% are finding that on your website or marketing pages, there's no information for them. They don't know if you're accessible. They don't know if you've got what they need. You need to make it more prominent on your website. Okay, planning. Let's move into the next part of specific needs. People with impairment, especially those with mobility issues, have specific needs that if not met, makes visiting a business or event impossible. With all of the effort and cost it takes to plan a trip or go somewhere, lots of research is done beforehand to ensure that these resources are not wasted. 40% of respondents stated that not knowing what to expect was a barrier to travel, highlighting the benefit of more detailed information being made available when planning their trip. As you can see, there is a need for expert advice at the planning stage if you want to attract this market. Creating relationships and prompting your accessibility on platforms such as disability forums, peak bodies in the area, specialist travel agents, and even the NDIS coordinators are all important people to be involved in this planning process. Internally, you could think about appointing an accessibility coordinator, someone that is knowledgeable in all aspects of accessibility and inclusiveness in your organisation. This person would be responsible for answering all of the questions and queries and will create strong, loyal relationships. This coordinator will also address the next point of research, which is specifically the research highlighted a strong preference to connect with a business or destination personally by phone or email. So it just shows someone with a disability or impairment, they've got so much more to think about. They don't want to have to worry. So it's important that they have that human-to-human connection with someone on the other end at that business they want to use. So that person can say, yes, we have this for you. We have an accessible shower. You can set up whatever you need in here. There's this much room. The bed has this and that. The pool has this and that. rather than being passed around from person to person on the phone, trying to figure out what you have and what you don't have. Just have that one person that knows everything about the accessibility side of your business. This would provide a potential customer with the information in rapid and accurate manner, increasing a likelihood of converting it to a sale and that person wanting to come to your business. That personal connection is so important for someone with an impairment or disability, because it may be a matter of using your business or not using it. I know that if I was in that situation, I would not be going unless I knew 100% that it had the things that I need. And you're only going to really find that out by talking to someone directly. And that is what they are wanting. They want to talk to someone directly that knows what they're talking about and knows what they need. Traditional travel agents with a strong service ethic could also be important in driving this conversion, particularly for older travellers and those who have lower support needs. Many clients had low expectations, so this advice could expand their interest and create demand for more products. Travellers with an impairment find it hard to be inspired when they don't know what is possible, and having an advocate for that possibility would be a huge win. So having that person that's going to be there for them, a travel agent, I don't know why we don't do this anyway, but a specific travel agent that looks after people with disability and impairment, finds out everything they need to know. Okay, let's talk about service. There are still many challenges with regards to attitudes and understanding from tourism, hospitality and event staff, and those of the public towards travellers with a disability or impairment. This is especially a challenge for younger travellers with an impairment or those who have hidden impairments, who require support in less obvious ways. Top service by staff is a key driver recommendation across all boards of travel categories in this study. So one of the top things in the study of accessible tourism is that we all want the staff to be knowledgeable on disability and impairment and what their needs are. There would be nothing worse than getting to an event and no one knows if there's an accessible toilet, or no one knows the best place for you to go to be able to see the band or the event if you're in a wheelchair. We need certain people to know all the answers so that those people in a wheelchair or with mobility issues can go to that event and can be included and not thrown to person and then find out that they've missed half of the concert because no one knew where they could go so they could see. That'd be awful. Okay, and so as we all know, good service drives more customers. Cost is another very important thing for many travellers with an impairment, as many need to travel with a carer or extra equipment, which makes cost higher for them. Assistance with the cost, including potentially via the disability insurance scheme or via a special deal or service for those with a carer, would assist removing barriers to travel. And this has a ripple effect in regards to ethical consumerism, as discussed in earlier sessions. So if you have a business, you are accessible, you are inclusive. To get those customers that have carers or other specialist equipment that they use, you can offer, hey, we have all of the stuff that you need here. We know it's expensive for you to come with your whole family and your carer. How about your carer is free? Or how about your carer is half price? Or a special meal deal or something like that. Because that carer is another person that they have to pay for, which makes a huge, huge difference if you can lower the cost for them. Okay, next up, growing the market in your region. Major stakeholders who need to be involved. So we'll have a look at the opportunities. We've had a look at the opportunities and the needs of this segment and what potential we can tap into. How are we going to grow this? What needs to be done and who needs to be involved? The opportunity to grow this market is a multifaceted project in which all key stakeholders have a role to play. Who are these stakeholders? First up, this are the people with impairment or disability, their families and their carers. These are the people who are served by this project, and having a direct understanding of their needs is absolutely critical at every stage. They should be central to every decision made. Peak bodies that represent both tourism and disability sector also need to be involved. They need to make choices. These people need to make choices alongside the people with disability and impairment to ensure that their needs are met. Who else needs to get involved? The government on a state and local level to help with infrastructure. Destination management and organisations such as visitor centres also need to get involved. Tourism and event service providers also. These are all people that need to get involved to bring this together, to make changes, to build a better future for every human being, and especially those with disability and impairment. Because we all deserve to see the world. We all deserve it. That's why it's here. It's all here for us. Growing the market in your region. Let's go through the stages. This part is attended as an executive overview of the stages. It is by no means a how-to, and we realise that there is much more involved. But let's just go over these stages because we're only going to build on it. These 5 stages that are required to grow this market are consult, inspire, educate, collate, promote, and lastly build. These are the 5 key things to making this work. Okay, stage 1 is consult. This should be the foundation of accessible tourism. It should ensure that what is offered is built on a rich understanding of what travellers with an impairment or disability want and need, creating a strong foundation. This is the responsibility of all stakeholders, but government and destination management officers can take the lead, as they have the resources and skills to undertake projects and research to then guide others. Next up, growing the market in your region, stage 2, inspire and educate. Ensure that the industry has an understanding of the potential of the sector and has provided support on how to start targeting it. Government, destinations and peak bodies should all have a role in this. Further, many travellers with an impairment have low expectations on what is available for them, while their aspirations to travel are high, just like anyone else. The task here is to encourage them to explore and test boundaries. Peak bodies and service providers can play a strong role here. So can individual operators just like you. So this is an example of this. This shows that this picture is of Ben. He was talking about how, it'd be amazing to abseil again, but of course thinking, it's not possible. Someone in the background heard him talking about this and made it possible. Businesses came together, people came together to make it work. Ben is here and he abseiled down the tallest building in Perth in his wheelchair. So it just shows that we can get things done. We can make it happen. It's just a matter of coming together, all of the peak bodies coming together, the service providers, to make it work. And Ben just proves time and time again that it doesn't matter that he's in a wheelchair, he's included, he deserves the same treatment, and he can do it. Okay. Collate is the third stage. This is about bringing experiences together to provide a holistic offering, and some key destinations will help travellers plan and navigate their trip. Government and peak bodies in both tourism and disability sectors and service providers can all potentially play a role to help identify new areas of experience and production development or supporting infrastructure. Governments can work with the sector in a number of ways, including improving accessibility standards in the industry, so important, and developing infrastructure that considers the complete user experience. So making sure with user experience, making sure that the door handles are easy to open. Round door handles, for example, with someone with limited hand mobility. A round door handle. If they can't move, they've got to be able to move their hands. A lever door handle is going to be inclusive for everyone to use. Every single person can use door handle. Whether they can't use their hand, they can use their elbows. But you can't use your elbow to open a round door handle. So it's starting from the beginning. It's making sure that it's from the beginning. It's well researched to know that you're starting at the foundation. Oh, sorry, I just got completely lost then. What am I trying to say? Just lost my page. Anyway, so collect. So what I'm saying is identify those things that need to change from the beginning in the infrastructure start parts of it. But we go over those sorts of things in webinar part 3 if you wanted to go into that. Just making that your business more accessible from the beginning is what I'm trying to say. Okay, promote, stage 4. Many travellers are not aware of what is on offer. Therefore, it is important to promote what is available to generate the demand. The information needs to be easy to find, well structured, and provide an opportunity to develop further planning and to build confidence in the experience and trip. So it needs to be easy. You need to create a positive, easy experience for someone with a disability or impairment, for them to come back, for them to recommend you. It builds the confidence. This responsibility is up to the individual business and destinations. Okay, this is the last part for today, is build. While not the highest priority right now, new infrastructure needs to be a subject of ongoing focus, ensuring that new infrastructure employs universal design properties, which will make the opportunity more cost-effective for the future. This is a cross-industry responsibility. So it's important for new businesses and companies to follow these standards. It is all about the responsibility so that people with impairment can generate the demand to use your business. So what I mean by the door handles before, I think I was trying to say, if you start at the build, at the foundation at the beginning, building a new business or hotel, for example. Say this picture is building a new hotel. Make sure from the beginning the hotel is met all the accessibility in the inclusive list with the door handles. Yes, the door handles need to be levers. Yes, the door frames need to be this wide. Start at the beginning, because if you go and build a business that's not accessible, then people aren't going to be able to come in with an accessibility issue or impairment. But if you start from the beginning, you're not having to spend the money later and making adjustments, widening your door frames, getting different door handles because you've got round ones. We've got all of that on our website so that you can go over that. But it's all about every single peak body getting together, starting that process, because there's not much in place at the moment where someone is going round and checking everything and making sure that it is accessible. you as a business and service need to make sure yourself that it's accessible. There's a business here where I'm from, a brand new building being built, and then they have realised after it's all done, it's all been signed off by the builders, it's all been signed off, and then this business has opened up and realised, oh, there's a bit of a lip there on the door. People in a wheelchair or mobility couldn't get inside. So they have had to spend extra money afterwards, brand new building, afterwards to put in a ramp, which is crazy. That is what I'm trying to say. You need to start from the beginning and check it all out, because those business owners, that was just an extra cost and an extra thing that they had to spend afterwards, which should have been sorted out at the beginning. So, lots to think about after today, and I hope that it all made sense to everyone. If there's any questions that you want to ask me or talk to us about, please jump in the chat box. I'm going to press question time now for you to do that. Or if you want to, if you need to go, that's fine. You can go off and have your lunch. It's nearly lunchtime for us over in WA. That's fine too. But please, before you go, fill out the survey. Under this video, there's the link to the survey. Fill out the survey. But if you do have a question, I'm going to press mute for 3 minutes, and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry about that little mix-up where I got a bit stuck. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please join me tomorrow for webinar part 1, starting again, or tonight if you know anyone that wants to watch this again, or if you wanted to watch it again, please join me. I will see you guys tonight, and I'll see the people that have questions very soon. Okay, so there doesn't appear to be any questions this morning, so that is fine. Please, if you do have any questions along the way, send us a message via our Facebook page or YouTube. I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll be doing it again tonight if you wanted to join me then. I hope everyone has a good afternoon and stays warm. It's quite cold today. And I will either see you tonight or I will see you tomorrow for tapping in part 1, starting from the beginning. Thank you for joining me. Bye.